I should look at your safer where you're gonna go to find the place. Oh, it probably are actually over here.
We're probably over. So it's Tzadik Ches?
He's Arvas Hadavar, yeah, on the bottom of Tzadik Zayin.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
Yes.
Before we start, yesterday in Fabringen, you mentioned what we've been through, the difference between Yesh Amiti and Yesh Ha-Amiti.
Fabringen?
Yeah, last night.
Okay.
And it's not.
That wasn't the place when we discussed it. Okay, go ahead.
No, but you spoke about it briefly. And it's not clear in my mind, and I would like to know if we can assign some kind of a translation to these two terms.
Translation?
Translation in English.
Oh, God.
I will explain it.
No, the difference between Ha'amiti and Amiti, or the whole statement, the whole word, or the whole statement.
Yesh Amiti versus Yesh Ha-Amiti.
Yesh Amiti, you know what that means?
The true thing.
Take the word the.
A true thing.
Out.
Yeah. True thing.
A true thing and the true thing. That's the difference between Yesh Amiti and Yesh Ha'amiti.
So a true thing and what?
The true thing.
Oh, okay. Which refers to Hashem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we are I guess at the bottom of page Tzadik Zayin. We will start 2 lines or 3 lines from the bottom. The line begins alyeday tzimtzum. We're talking about chochma, and we're talking in chochma itself. We're talking about the lower element of chochma. It's called the sichli of chochma. The sichli of chochma means that part that chochma reveals to be able to be known externally. And we were saying that this even that level of the chochma, the sichli chochma, does not allow, cannot be fully comprehended, hasoga. There is no possibility of any hasoga in chochma, even in the sichli of chochma.
Is the Riyah not known externally?
Right. Once it becomes known, that's already the sichli.
Riyah is not considered known.
Riyah per se is not considered known, because because you are not at all involved in the process of knowing, of seeing
Of seeing?
it. Yeah.
So in the Lakidas school, there is only the sichli, not the real.
No, well, that's right. The only the Nekudas Haskola is the sichli, but it has the influence of the re'iyah. Like they said, the re'iyah helps to understand the sichli. But what is actually contained in the Nekudas Haskola is not the re'iyah. Re'iyah does not come down to a Nekuda. So we said that Hasoga is not, it has no access to chochma per se. Even the sichli of chochma does not it does not allow itself. Now it's not possible to have it by Hasoga, but nonetheless it's a sichli. So in what way is it sichli? It is known by hanocha sichlis. There is a finer element in the sichli, in the seichel, that is a pure reflection of the sichli, of the koyach ha-seichel that the Rebbe created, not due to human pursuit and human activity, but as the Rebbe imbued it into the person. That sichli has access, it can relate, that seichel can relate to sichli of chochma. Because that seichel has this quality, it recognizes, so to speak, the pure truth. And therefore the sichli of chochma comes to it in a, what's called hanocha sichlis. It's a primary recognition, a primary knowledge. Yet, then afterwards, the Rebbe said, nevertheless, there is also the inner sichli in the chochma that actually boba hasoga, that can actually be translated in hasoga. That which can be translated in hasoga for chochma is not the etzem shelo klal, it's not the essence of the chochma at all. It is not the chochma, etzem and the chochma means not as the chochma is unto itself. This is what's known the chitzonius of it. And that chitzonius is identified and comes to the foreground as a result of the process of tzimtzum. Tzimtzum means that the essential impact is removed, is obscured. And what you have is is the effect of that truth, not as the truth is unto itself. It occurred to me just, because I know of some some of us are having difficulty with many of the things that we're discussing. We have the Gashmias, light and sight. Light and sight are really divine gifts. But of course, with our pause, can render impure even light and sight. And we managed to say that light is a deflection of the physical article, and sight is the effect, how that deflection touches the eye. In other words, it's a touch. That came as a result of losing sight, so to speak, losing cognizance of the real union of light. As we pointed out, daylight is not a daylight that deflects. It encompasses, it changes the entire reality. And that element, that reality, that cannot be comprehended, that cannot be defined. As we mentioned many times, and we know from the Torah, that this light was created without a luminary. It's a divine light. It was then camouflaged by being put into the luminary so that the world would not lose its orientation. But essentially, that light is not a world light, a type of light. It's a light that completely eliminates darkness, and it encompasses the whole world. It retranslates the world into a divine presence. It's not lit up, but it's owned by the light. This is, but then you can be tzimtzum this and say, no. What? How does that translate in terms of me seeing? You see because you are part of this light. But no, that's not good enough for me. I want it to be my own activity, and this is where you have to go. You go into the tzimtzum and you lose sight. You lose the effect of the impact of the real light. That puts you outside of the divine reality. So that which is possible to be comprehended from chochma is not the etzem shelo at all. It's not at all its etzem. It's only its chitzonius, which comes through the tzimtzum. V'gam, and also masha chochma hi b'bchinas havdolah. We started in this section. We started talking about the havdolah of chochma. We said havdolah. The word havdolah means separation, and it's applicable when you are separating between two like elements or similar elements or elements that have some kind of a commonality. To separate REBBE chochma from hasogam or anything else is out of context, because there is no similarity there. But the yin that we say that chochma has an element of havdolah, that is the element of chochma that comes through a tzimtzum. This is the element of chochma that lends itself to hasoga. And comes from the tzimtzum. This is the chitzonius. The chitzonius simply means how you know it without knowing its truth. You know only its effect. And that is where the Havdalah of Chochma is applicable. Begam Masha HaChochma begins Havdalah. Who? That
Would Havdalah be considered as a characterization of the tzimtzum?
of the what?
Of the tzimtzum?
No,
Can Havdalah be associated to the idea of tzimtzum?
I don't know what makes you say that, because there are two different concepts, two different principles.
Okay. I'm just thinking of the meaning of common meaning of Havdalah when we separate Shabbat from the days, the weekdays.
Right. So what aspect of Shabbat are we separating from the weekday?
Kedusha.
The Kedusha doesn't need to be separated. The Chitzonis of Shabbos, that you don't do work. The Kedusha of Shabbos doesn't need to be separated, it cannot be mixed in. Typically, when Shabbos ends, we're not allowed to do any work until we make Havdalah, or you say Havdalah. Shabbos is ended already. Why do you need Havdalah? Because the Kedusha of Shabbos itself is a reality, and that doesn't allow for any kind of work. Make Havdalah, you're saying, okay, now this I'm in a different realm.
So, we're speaking on Havdalah, there's in chochma, there's the hanocha, the sichli, which is hanocha, which is above hasoga.
Right.
We're speaking about that part now, or we're speaking?
No, we're talking about the hasoga. He says like this. Take a look at the fourth line from the bottom, and then the word in the last word in the fifth line. Uma shehu mikol mokem seichel ubo b'hasoga. That's in the chochma. Zeu eine begins with etzem shelo. It's not the etzem. This we're talking about the hasoga, the hasoga possibility in chochma.
So, but Tim now we spoke about the sichli, which is b'der chanucha, which is above hasoga.
Right.
That doesn't need Havdalah, that part, because it's also like Bria. It's
Now there, Havdalah is applicable. That's what we say that this is similar to Hasoga the Bina, but it's not exactly. That's we separate it.
Okay, so where are we going now?
There is, what we're saying now is that there is also a lower level element, that chochma comes down to the point of hasoga. The komukim seichel, it is pure seichel, which means it does come in hasoga. This is not the etzem, this is the chitzonis chochma that comes out of the tzimtzum.
But does
And
have about anything about Havdalah, this part, which is talking now about chochma?
that is moved though from that chochma which is does not come in hasoga, even though it's also a sichli.
So from the perspective of the man, is the Abdullah, the person says, okay, I got this blitz, I feel it's right, let me try to figure it out. Is that the Abdullah process from the perspective of the man? Say, oh, I got this blitz, okay, now I got to figure it out. What's this all about? That's the Abdullah from the man's perspective, the process?
I don't know exactly how you mean it. When you say, let me figure out, that means let me retranslate it in a different realm.
Right, so that is that Abdullah?
That has to be blue, yes.
It is Abdullah, okay.
וגם also, מה שהחוכמה היא בבחינת הבדולו, that phenomenon, that we say chochma is in havdolo state, reality, who, that also is a result of the tzimtzum. Kinye hasogahu hisavus adoba. Because the principle of hasoga is hisavus adoba. Hisavus means that it becomes mixed with other things. What is become mixed with the person's seichel? Shemisyached im hadovar hamusog, where he unites with that which is being comprehended. Kmei shehu, the way, in other words, the thing that's being comprehended is uniting with the seichel hodam and becomes la'achodim. And it becomes one thing. The principle of hasoga means, just as we said at a higher level, hanocha sichlis, which is much finer than hasoga, but nonetheless we say hanocha sichlis. This is something which is fully accepted with this finer element of seichel. Hasoga is a much lower level. And there is, hasoga is not really a pure acceptance of the seichel, but rather it is giving the seichel, mixing it with the coarseness of worldly coarseness, putting it into, so to speak, on a worldly platform. He saw in Hadover, where the seichel odom becomes one with the hamusog, kmei shehu lachod, kmei shehu, I'm sorry, misach na'adom hamusog, kmei shehu, unites with that which we comprehended, la'achodim, it becomes like one thing, because he fits it into his world. The whole, and that is, how does that occur? Because in hasoga, in the process of hasoga, then this union, the whole concept comes. Pardon me. The sichli is no longer presented in a sichli reality. It becomes imbued and represented and grasped in kelim. And there it is, b'bchinas oy pnimi, means that it actually becomes one with the kelim. In our most simple illustration of this, although it's very simple, but it entirely correct if we think into it. A table is a board with 4 legs. But this table, as a board with 4 legs, is a representative of a seichel element in the person. And it is not inappropriate, not incorrect to explain what is a table. A table has more than 4 legs. This is where the seichel has been reduced to its total chitzonius. How it is represented outside of the seichel. But then, any person with a smackling of seichel recognizes right away that this is some kind of a special human quality, element. Principally, every person understands that to serve a dog on the table is totally out of whack. He would much more prefer to be on the floor. A human being, on the other hand, it's very suitable. Why? The board and the 4 legs is what makes it suitable. It's the seichel in that this represents. But then that seichel was put into keli. That's what keli. Was put into physical keli. How this seichel can be translated in the worldly reality, outside of the person. And now, when a person sits next to a table, you say, oh, it's a perfectly human setting. They're 2 separate entities. But it's reflective of the human seichel. It's a perfect human setting. It's not an excessive demand that a person sit at the table. No, it fits there. Even though it's on the active and chitzoniistic level. This is the chitzonius of the seichel. This is called hasoga. He fully comprehends the impact of the seichel. Mibchinas pnimi, pnimi. And I have to emphasize the fact that the Rebbe says not Mibchinas pnimi, Mibchinas pnimi. Please understand what that means. If one is going to translate a table without the oyer element, just only in terms of the convenience, and completely ignoring that this is a convenience which is only due to the fact that the human being has so to speak, a royal a spirit. He will ignore the oil, then it is not. This is not hasog. This is not hasog. We mention all the time. It's important that Bina stays connected to chochma. It is possible to disconnect it. And then it would be devoid of oil, of life element. But in Hasoga, the Indian is slaps it between the Kelim Mamash, the B'chinas Oil Pnimi. Oil Pnimi means that the Seichel says that this Indian of the concept of the table that you have in a concept has a functional level also, not only a conceptual level. And the functional level is translated over here in this table. This functional level is a functional level of the sichli. In other words, we appreciate this table not after the fact only, but when we don't have a table, we are asking for the table. Why? Because there is oir ha-seichel that demands that it be like this. It's not something that you recognize after the fact. It is seichel odom that creates the whole phenomenon. And it's misavish b'pchinas oir pnimi in that chitzonius, in the keli. Which is what's called hasoga mamash, hasoga tfisa mamash. At this point, so this which is hasoga, hasoga means that it is misarvus. Hasoga means that the oil is misarev, mixes in with the keli in oil pnimi manner, which means that the oil recognizes and identifies with the keli. Harei ze b'vchinas hisardus mamash. Thus we see that at this point, the oil and the keli are b'vchinas hisardus mamash, are in a b'china, so to speak, in a sense of true unity, a full unity. Once it goes into hasoga, it is a complete union with the keli. But that which is distinct and separated migeder hasoga, from the realm of hasoga, that oir seichel that is in a separate, that is distinct and in a separate category than hasoga, harei ze b'vchinas havdolah, that has the element of havdolah. And it stays moved on. If we don't bring it down into kelim, then we take the chitzonius of it, and we have to put that aside and forget about it. But the etzem inyan is moved on together hasoga. Again, how do we human beings have something that is moved together hasoga? The answer is, this is the neshama that the Rebbe gave us. It's a God neshama. It's important that we always remember, as much as we're going into hasoga and so forth, it's a complete falsehood to view the human being as a development, as a result of developmental process. Even to consider it. It's a miraculous creature. Not only is it a miraculous creature because it's a creature, but from amongst creatures it's a miraculous creature. It's a creature that the Creator retained at His level. It's a creature that the Creator retained that you should be aware of Him, not to be just completely into the world. This is where he gets this kind of of a presence, of an awareness, or whatever it is, that is above Hasoga. He didn't get to it through Hasoga, he got to it because it was given to him. Because this is the creature that he was made into. And that is B'chinas Havdalah. That has to be distinctly identified, separate from that which is in Hasoga, that which is in the world. It cannot be comprehended. It doesn't need to be comprehended. It has its impact on the person in its pure state. The whole.
What would be the difference between a sug of chochma and bina?
The difference between Hasoga and Chochma, Hasoga and Bina, it's a fair question, even though we're not up to that yet. The difference is that Chochma, Hasoga of Chochma is Milayla Lamato, Hasoga of Bina is Milato Lamayla. Leave it at that for this moment. V'hu Bivchinas ha'ha'ora, and this oir is Bivchinas ha'ha'ora. Is in that realm of the ha'ora, she'ena nitras ve'ena mufsal klal. The ha'ora that is not grasped and not comprehended. We made an attempt several times, many times, to try and represent and focus on what is a ha'ora. A ha'ora is really representative of the real thing, absent of the real thing. Like we said, a home, a fully furnished home, with all the amenities of a home, has no place in the world but for the presence of a human being. In what way is it there retained when the human being is absent? It's called the ha'ora of the human being. There's a human phenomenon there, but he's not there.
We're talking about a ha'ara that's l'mayla miseder hishtalshlus now.
I don't know. What do you say hishtalshlus over here?
We said in the Maimer that chochma is l'mayla miseder hishtalshlus.
That's way back when. Well, let's come back here. V'hu bebchinas ha'ora, and this is the ha'ora she'ena nitvas ve'ena musa klal, which is not comprehended, nitvas, is not grasped, ve'ena musa klal. Even though it's only a ha'ora, not like the etzem. Now, of course, you can be teufus the etzem. This is only the ha'ora of the etzem, the illusion of the etzem.
So or is lesser than the term or?
I'm sorry, what?
The term ha'ara is at a
It's
lesser
less than
level
or.
than or. Yeah.
Yeah, ha'ora. That's right. This is called ha'ora. Nobody should say ha'ora chitzenis. This is only the representation. This is not the real thing. Haora shein, and this is bivchinas haora. That's why you use the word bivchinas haora. It is within that realm of the haora shein nitvos ve'in musa klal. This haora is in a nitvos ve'in musa, so we know it only from the bivchina perspective. Not on something that it's tangibly identified. What is Bechina? We mentioned many times. Bechina, just like when you test things, you test. They test the health of blood. How much sugar is in the blood, and how much other thing, and this is tested, and you know it by the response that you have. You can't see it. Looking at the blood, you can't tell anything. It is known only as a result of bechina, a result of some kind of a test.
Like to say, I need someone to tell me.
Yeah. We mentioned many times. What time is now? 9 o'clock. Nobody's here.
It is now 12 minutes to 9.
Makes sense.
All right. So I owe you this motion, Mitzvah. We have our own meeting. It hasn't taken long.